Good morning, everyone. It's Mr. Martin here with your grammar for today. Today is April 17th, 2020, Friday. We're going to go ahead and finish the passage we've been working on this week. So go ahead and get your passages out. Let me share my screen really quickly. Here we go. Sorry about my airplane noises. I live near the airport again. So we've been working on this passage that is a revising passage, so we know it's arms, working to help workers, all right? We know our central idea was who was Cesar Chavez, what he did in life, and why he was important, okay? So we went ahead, we answered some questions. Sorry. We went ahead and answered some questions already here, and we're gonna finish out the last 2 questions today, okay? And then we'll be done with this one, have a new one for next week, just like always. Let's look at question number 5. It says, what is the best concluding statement to add at the end of this selection? Okay, so I'm gonna put the best concluding statement. When I see the word concluding, I'm so sorry, it keeps getting blurry, guys. When I see that word concluding there, what does it make me think of? What does concluding statement make me think of? If you said the word conclusion, you are correct. Concluding statement, conclusion, ending. So the ending statement to add to the selection. When we have a concluding statement, just like a conclusion paragraph, we're not adding any new information, guys, okay? The information that we're putting there is just kind of summarizing everything, generally summarizing something to do with our central idea, but we're not adding new information. We're not introducing new things about Cesar Chavez, for example. We're just concluding the passage. In order to figure out what the concluding statement should be, I always like to scan back over and kind of reread the passage a little bit just to get a better understanding of what the passage was talking about. So let's do that now. My hero, Cesar Chavez, I look up to him because he spent his life helping others. I admire him because he was who united many, a peaceful man. Cesar Chavez was born in 1927 on a small family farm in Arizona. His family moved to California in search of work when Cesar was a young man. Then he farmed in the fields along with his family. It was difficult and unsafe work. Cesar's experiences during farm work made him want to help families like his own. Cesar served in the armed forces during World War II. Cesar began a group of what was called the National Farm Workers Association. Cesar got other workers to join. Together, they forced farm owners to pay better wages. They did this by refusing to work until they received fair pay. They also asked people not to buy fruit from farms whose owners did not treat workers fairly. Farm owners had to treat their workers better so people would buy fruit from their farms. Cesar improved farm workers' lives through his group's peaceful actions. Cesar is a hero. The hard events in his life moved him to help others. Beautiful. So he helped others. This is how he helped with his organization and his background in his life. Let's see which is the best concluding sentence that can go there. Cesar led protests for better wages in many states, including California and Texas. Okay. Cesar would go without food at times to bring attention to the people he was fighting for. Okay. Cesar brought people together to work peacefully for what they deserved. Okay. The National Farm Workers Association is today known as the United Farm Workers of America. This time I'm going to work through backwards to kind of see which one is the best concluding sentence. Again, summarizing everything that he did. All his work in his life was to help people, right? That's what he did. Let's go back to our central idea. Who's Cesar Chavez, what he did, and why he was important. He was important because he helped people. He was a hero for people. So this one, Cesar led protests for better wages in many states, including California and Texas. He did this, okay, but is that the best concluding sentence to kind of summarize? Did he only lead protests? Okay, I'm gonna cross that one out because it's not a good concluding sentence. Cesar would go without food at times to bring attention to the people he was fighting for. Also factual, but is that a good concluding sentence, right? This is kind of one of the things he did to help people, but it's not like summarizing everything. Cesar brought together people to work peacefully for what they deserved, okay? If I think about who Cesar Chavez was, what he did was bring people together to work peacefully for what they deserve. So that one can get a question mark, right? The National Farm Workers Association is today known as the United Farm Workers of America. Okay. This, although factual, does not have anything to do with Cesar Chavez. Okay. Yeah, he founded it, but this is not summarizing his life. So I'm going to cross that one out. So the only answer that makes sense is C. And if we go back to our IKB, I know because, okay? I know because, think about that, about 30 seconds. What is your IKB? How do you know this is the answer? All right, so I put, I know because this sentence best summarizes our central idea, right? Who Cesar Chavez was, what he did, why he was important, because he brought people to work together peacefully for what they deserved, right? Fair wages, fair farm working conditions. That's your I know because. Let's look at number 6. Tony wants to remove a sentence that does not belong in this selection. Which sentence should he remove? So he's removing something and something that does not belong, okay? So he wants to remove a sentence that does not belong, something that does not go. So we have sentence 2, 9, 11, 15. When I'm removing it, maybe it doesn't fit the central idea for that section, or it's out of place, or maybe it's too casual and it's not formal enough for informative text. So let's go back and look at all these sentences and see which one of these doesn't belong, which one doesn't make sense, starting with sentence 2. Oh, and as always, guys, we got to read maybe one before and one after to get the context of what that section is talking about. My hero is Cesar Chavez. I look up to him because he spent his life helping others. I also admire him because he was who united many peaceful men. Okay? I think that makes sense. It's talking about Cesar Chavez. It's talking about he's his hero and explaining why. That one I think can stay. Sentence 9. I'm going to read 8, 9, and 10. Cesar's experiences doing farm work made him want to help families like his own. Cesar served in the armed forces during World War II. Cesar began a group called the National Farm Workers Association. Well, this one, he served in the armed forces during World War II, okay? Although that's a fact about his, but I don't think it talked about his experience working or being in the military any other time in here. It only mentions it this one time, and then it goes right back to him working for farm workers, okay? So his family worked in the farm, he worked for farm workers to get them better wages and fair treatment. It doesn't talk about the military at all. So I'm going to put a question mark because that one's not something that they talk about very much. So it maybe doesn't belong. Let's look at sentence 11. Again, 10 and 11 I'm going to read together. Cesar began a group called the National Farm Workers Association. Cesar got other workers to join his group. Together they forced farm owners to pay better wages. Those kind of flow to me. So that belongs. It's not a does not belong. That belongs. Sentence 15. We'll read 14, 15, 16. They also asked people not to buy fruit from farms whose owners did not treat workers fairly. Farm owners had to treat their workers better so people would buy fruit from their farms. Cesar improved farm workers' lives through his group's peaceful actions. Okay, so they asked people not to buy them, and they had to treat workers so people would buy the fruits. That makes sense, okay? The only one that doesn't make sense is G, which is our correct answer. Go ahead and do I know because. Why do you I know because? I know because sentence 9 discusses his military experience. And that is not what this passage is about. It's great that he joined the military. He was in World War II, but that's not what this passage is talking about. So that sentence doesn't make sense with the context and the central idea of everything else. All right. So we have worked through another passage. Thank you guys so much for all your hard work and effort. Make sure that you submit your answers on your Google Forms so you can get credit for one, watching my videos, and two, doing the work. On Monday, we'll have another video for you, and we're gonna be doing another editing passage, maybe, or revising. We'll see. I haven't selected yet. So have a wonderful weekend, guys. Hopefully the weather's nice. You can get outside, enjoy it, and we will see each other again on Monday.